Green is a term that is overarching for a lot of products and even ideas. In the appliance arena, green is generally what's referred to when you're talking about efficient appliances that are highly energy and water efficient. Most of the time come under the Energy Star category, meet those criteria or better. There are a few categories of appliances that don't fall into Energy Star but still have green attributes, things like induction cooking, for example. But generally, it's water and energy efficiency are the two big kingpins. Energy Star is a program of the Department of Energy, DOE, that is rather broad-based with a wide range of products that come under the Energy Star heading. In the appliance arena, the big three for appliance manufacturers are refrigerators, freezers, dishwashers, and clothes washers. All of those have very specific criteria, and that criteria continues to become more stringent as we move ahead in the years to come. Choosing an Energy Star appliance is important because in the long term, there's savings to the consumer. There's also the advantage of energy conservation, which is the key backbone of Energy Star. And more Energy Star products that involve water are now have established water criteria. And saving water is becoming critical. In fact, I believe that in a very few years, water will be a bigger issue than energy even is today. Well, water is becoming a scarce commodity, and water issues are addressed with Energy Star products in the appliance category. People don't realize it, but 97% of our world's water is salinated. 2% of our world's water is in the ice caps. So all of our human existence, our manufacturing, everything exists today on 1% of the water supply. So if you're able to effectively reduce water consumption, example, a clothes washer that would use 40 gallons of water in a standard machine, you buy an Energy Star piece that might use half that amount, it's a significant savings. Well, energy is still the kingpin, and everyone talks about energy. And in the appliance category, energy is still number one. Recently, the Energy Star criteria, for example, in refrigerators was increased, where today it's 20% better than federal standard to qualify for Energy Star. The dishwasher category is 41% better, and they also have a water criteria being added later this year. Clothes washers are kind of interesting. There is a new criteria that Energy Star uses called MEF, Modified Energy Factor. And it's a calculation of the energy use of the washing machine, the clothes washer, and also the dryer based on the effectiveness of water removal. And it comes up with a weighted number. And obviously, the more efficient, the better. And E-Star appliances are the ones that meet that criteria. IAQ, indoor air quality, is an issue in the appliance category, obviously. Products in general are very low VOC, volatile organic compounds. The appliances in general are low VOC. The other area where appliances come into the air quality equation has to do with ventilation. Ventilating cooking, for example, to the exterior as opposed to recirculating. Ventilating dryers to the exterior as opposed to a closed system that might add ambient air or temperature to the home. It's not as big an issue until you get into air conditioning, and a lot of appliance companies are in the AC, HVAC, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, where there, air filtration, quality, energy use, it's all part of the equation. Appliances are known as durable goods, which means they last a long time. And from the beginning, birth, as you might say, to death can be 10, 15, sometimes 20 years. From an environmental standpoint, companies that are green by focus hit a number of areas in that life cycle. First of all, in manufacturing, many appliance manufacturers do have environmental management systems of various types that govern their manufacturing facilities, air, water emissions, recycling, waste, all those things. The next step in appliance life cycle after manufacturing is transportation, logistics, distribution. And there are a number of programs around the country to help companies to operate more effectively, less emissions down to even the type of forklifts that are used, driver habits, types of trucks that are very useful in that regard. But the long haul is the actual use and life of a product. A washing machine should last you 15 years. A refrigerator can last you 18, 20 years. A dishwasher, 12 years. So during that period of use is when you see the biggest impact with energy reduction and water reduction, and in some applications, obviously, air quality. The thing after that is the end of life of an appliance. Appliances in general are very highly recyclable. On average, about 85% recyclable content. Appliances are the second most highly recycled category of steel, second only to automobiles. So it really makes for a situation where today you just don't see the old washing machine, the vacant lot very much because there's too much value in it. Beyond that, there are new programs out there where governments, for example, North Carolina has an upfront purchase tax where they pay a few extra dollars when they purchase an appliance, and it's designed for the end of life for the state to effectively dispose of an old appliance. Retailers will offer free haulaways. Well, those don't end up in landfills. Those are all going to recyclers. So there's an awful lot of positives at the end of life of a major appliance. Recycling of appliances does have a great effect on the environment because obviously you're not necessarily putting them in landfills. The steel gets reused. In fact, for most appliances, new product is 25% recycled content in the steel that goes into a new appliance. So a lot of those bits of metal and steel and copper and nickel and the other things, even some of the plastics, will end up in other products down the line. Green appliances are an integral part of every green building program around the country, be it a local program or national. Generally, the specification requires Energy Star in those categories that Energy Star applies. But many programs, the NHB standard that's about to be released, for example, takes it a step further in certain categories. For example, in that program on clothes washers, there's a specific water factor requirement that exceeds the actual requirement for Energy Star. The USGBC lead for homes has a similar requirement with water and also in energy. But uniformly, it's part of it because second to air conditioning, a refrigerator is your largest energy user in the house. And second to only to toilets, a washing machine uses more water than anything else inside the interior of the home. So it's an important category. Regulatory is a whole new frontier. There's always been some regulatory involvement, and now we're seeing, particularly with the awareness of the energy crunch, a real movement towards more and more government mandates. The change of leadership in our federal government with a new president and a different makeup in Congress, appliance manufacturers fully anticipate that there'll be a barrage of legislation regarding our category and many, many others. The trick is to stay ahead of those so that you can meet those needs but still provide a product that actually does what it's supposed to do. And you can make a dishwasher that uses very little water but might not clean dishes. Green appliances, like so many other product categories, are beginning to be looked at in terms of the whole house approach. The house as a system. You can only go so far with efficiency in a home just looking at each individual product. The interaction of all of them in the total operation of the house is key. Some of the new things that will come, though, I say will come, they're basically here in a testing mode, will have great impact, I think, on energy use particularly and water. One of them is what's being referred to as smart appliances or smart grid appliances. Many customers have tested those around, not customers, but corporations working with customers have tested those around the country. And basically what it means is when the energy company has a period of peak demand, there is a communication link to the actual appliance in the home that will shut the appliance down for a very short time, not really affect its performance, but relieve a load that's important to the energy provider. And it will expand to a wide variety of products over time. The whole connectivity area where your refrigerator breaks and you basically get on an internet screen that's built in your refrigerator, is diagnosed from afar, they know what's wrong with it and they send the part and someone comes out and fixes it, measuring energy use, monitoring peak use, what times of day. There's all kinds of things going on in the technology arena that will save energy and water. When builders look at green appliances as part of their home building or program that they're participating in. Today, they're tending to look at the basic requirement of Energy Star. However, builders are starting to understand to go a little bit beyond Energy Star.
Okay. Yeah.
There are a number of appliance manufacturers with product on the market that exceed that criteria. And different programs, as I mentioned earlier, will give credit for them, but the awareness of the builder that, yes, this is an E-Star washer, but this one has a better energy factor, this one has less water. Yes, there's a refrigerator that meets the 20% energy criteria, 20% better than standard for E-Star, but here's one that is 28% better, right down the line. So they're becoming more educated about the nuances of the consumption of water and energy by these products. It's a positive thing and can only lead to more and more inclusion of Energy Star in the homes because consumers are looking for them. We know that the E-Star label is second in consumer recognition only to the Good Housekeeping seal. It's something like 75%. 30% of retail consumers knowingly that has come in with a propensity to buy specifically an E-Star product. Builders need to build on that base.